The Edmonton Oilers and Vegas Golden Knights will go to battle tonight in a potential Western Conference playoff preview. Guys, welcome into PuckTime here on WagerTalk TV. I am Andrew, and I have Carmine with me, as usual, to break down 3 games, including the Knights and Oilers. We'll also talk about the St. Louis Blues and the Chicago Blackhawks, as well the Vancouver Canucks playing hosts to the Arizona Coyotes. Carm, obviously the one I started off with is certainly the game of the night, but we have 3 games to talk about. Best bets at the end, and it was a jam-packed Tuesday, man. We'll get into that in a few moments, but what are your thoughts on the first game here, Blackhawks and St. Louis Blues?
Yeah, it's and Andrew, in any game you can usually find a little bit of value, and maybe there is some here. Maybe not in lane 250 on this game because I don't want I don't want to do it. The Blues are essentially their season. They're hanging on by like a thread. They're 5 points back of the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas is in action tonight against the Edmonton Oilers, who we're going to discuss a little later on, who could very well be missing Connor McDavid tonight with a lower body injury. 5 points back with 3 games left, for 3 or 4 games left. I think their season ends tonight, even with a win, because I think Vegas probably picks up a point, which is good enough based on the regulation wins tiebreaker. They got Chicago coming to town. If you're going to at least get a win, this is the team you need to do it. I talked about at the end of the day when the St. Louis Blues reflect on their season and try and figure out if it was a good or a bad season or why they missed the playoffs. Losing all 3 games to the San Jose Sharks and not even competing in any of the 3 is likely the reason. Those 6 points would have them in a playoff spot right now. But ifs and buts were candies and nuts, as they say. Chicago, Andrew, some interesting numbers here. Chicago's averaging on the season. Their defense is. It's been an abysmal season for them, but their offense 2.18 goals per game this season for them, and that drops to 1.89 when they're on the road. Not good for them. They're just not scoring, so they're not winning. That's why they have such. That's why they are where they are right now. But if you're looking for a highlight as far as Chicago goes, maybe it's that Peter Mrazek and he's the confirmed starter for tonight, has been good on the season. He's got like 18 wins. I think he's 18-28, which for a team that's in last place, that's a pretty good record, or last or second last. The problem here, Andrew, are the splits. Mrazek at home, 14-10-3, 246 goals against average, 926 save percentage. That is about as good as you can get for a goalie on one of the bottom feeders of the league. As far as home splits at home, on the road, not so good. 4 wins, 18 losses, one OT loss, 368 goals against average, 1.4 goals more per game allowed on the road. His save percentage drops from 926 to 886. Anytime you're under 9, and anytime you're at in the 880s, it is not good. I don't see a lot of scoring in this one. I think the Blues get one of those workman-like 3-1 or 4-1 wins, kind of like what I thought about yesterday when I talked about the Carolina Hurricanes. I thought a 4-1 win was feasible, and they went into Boston and won by that scoreline. So I'm going to take the under here. We missed the boat on the 6. It was there, and then it was gone. Not many had the chance to grab the 6. It's at 5.5, and I'm going to take the under in this one.
I don't blame you quite a bit, Carm. And, he's one of those goaltenders right now where you put him on a different team, he'd be getting a lot more respect. You're absolutely right about it with Mrazek. And I think about a guy like Connor Ingram for the Arizona Coyotes, the season he's had, and how much easier it is for guys to get recognition when they play on a quality team versus being a goaltender on a team that's not very strong. And, it hurts your goals against average. It hurts your save percentage. So people might not notice the abilities of a certain guy based on the team that they're playing on and the struggles that they've been dealing with. But, you hit it right on the head there as far as the home road and splits. You find that a lot with these younger teams. As somebody that tries not to miss a Montreal Canadian game, I know all about that. The home road splits, teams just perform better at home. They're more comfortable at home. And sometimes sometimes the teams are a little bit better on the road when they're going through a slump because there's less pressure. But for the most part, you look at this team, they're scoring when they're on the road. Chicago, their defense, it's way different when they're on the road. Their penalty kill is much worse when they're on the road. A lot of things go wrong for the Chicago team when they play on the road, coming off that tough loss against Minnesota, losing 4-0. But this St. Louis team right now, I've seen some inconsistencies in their game, and they have an opportunity now for a third straight game to play a bottom feeder. And I'll tell you, they're not happy. The quotes out of the locker room, the coaching staff, they're not happy. Whether or not they can squeak in, which is not going to happen, or just end the season off on a good note. You've got San Jose, Anaheim, and then Chicago here, Carm, in a 3-game span. You're going to tell me that they could potentially end up going 1-2 in those 3 games against these bottom feeders? I don't think it happens, and you get blessed with this 3-game stretch, but even this late in the season, teams can kind of fall victim to playing down to their opponents, but they will not be happy with their last game performance. I don't think they should be happy with either performance against San Jose or Anaheim. So I'm going to turn a minus $3 favorite into a plus 125, underdog price here with the first period 3-way win, draw, win. First period puck line minus a half goal with the St. Louis Blues to get off to a fast start here. There's still a ton of talent on this team. And, this team, the quotes I saw were them pretty much just saying, we've been slow starters. We have been taking way too long to get into games. We're putting ourselves in positions where we have to come out with a big second period. Well, hopefully that message gets across to the locker room here today, Carm, and I can get a early lead for the St. Louis Blues.
I don't hate it. I like it. And Andrew, we know all season long we talk about it. Every game is important at some point. You have to accumulate those points. And the Flyers did a great job of it, accumulating points. So if you go into a slump at the end of the season, you can hang on for dear life and make the playoffs. Unfortunately for the Flyers, they accumulated a ton of points and they've just fallen apart. Yesterday, you guys put an octopus on them, 8 points, 8 goals, I think was you guys scored on them. But you go back to the St. Louis one, which I want to talk about, and then I quickly want to talk about Chicago as well too. You look at like their last 10 games or so. They had Vegas come in. It was a big game for them at the time, and that was about 7 or 8 games ago. They lose that game in OT 2-1 to Vegas in a team that you're chasing for a playoff spot. You win that game in regulation, and it's pretty much a 3-point swing in that one. They lose at home in an important game for them once again to the San Jose Sharks. They lose 4-0, non-compete. Then go on the road and lose to the Sharks again on the road, mixed in with a loss at Nashville. Maybe you could throw out the Nashville one because Nashville is playing well, but you pick up points, those 2 games against the Sharks, that's 4 points. And again, you beat Vegas at home where you're supposed to win your games. And right now, they're on the inside and Vegas is on the outside. But these are, again, and they're all what ifs. We can what if it all season long, but that's where it stands. The interesting thing here, Andrew, when we talked about, and you talk about Chicago and the lottery draft, because the number 1 pick in the lottery draft, the draft should be Macklin Celebrini. He's got to be the number 1 pick from Boston University. You look at the odds right now, and he's likely going to the Western Conference because you have the San Jose Sharks with a 25.5% chance of winning the lottery. You have the Chicago Blackhawks at 13.5, and then Anaheim at 11.5. Here's one I didn't know, Andrew, and you probably know this. I didn't know this, and you guys can tell me in the live chat if you knew this. You cannot win the first pick in the lottery draft more than twice in a 5-year period. I did not know that. I thought if your team stunk, you could just start collecting number 1 picks and hope to win the lottery. You know where I'd like to see him go? And so 2 things. Number 1, Alex B. Smith, if you're watching, man, you're my brother. I'm going to come to Chicago. I'll buy you as many beers as you want. I do not want Macklin going to Chicago. I do not want him going there. I'm still pissed off about the culture of what that organization did, but that's something for a different topic. I hear good things about Columbus. Everyone talks about how Columbus has become a hockey town. Anyone from Columbus in our live chat or in the comment section later, let me know, because that's all anyone talks about. I'd love to see the guy go there. Even though he's a Vancouver fan, Macklin is, because he grew up, born and raised in Vancouver. He's a huge Canucks fan, and they drafted his brother, I believe, last season in the 7th round. So, but Vancouver's not winning the lottery draft, so we can forget about that. You can only move up 10 spots in the lottery draft. So, Andrew, maybe he ends up in Montreal. You guys have like a 7.5 or 8.5 point percentage chance of winning the lottery.
Hey, well, we're happy with our number 1 overall pick from 2 years ago with his first career hat trick last night. And, it's crazy to me, Carm, you mentioned it, about the two, soon to be back-to-back overall picks from the same place there in Vancouver. And you mentioned Columbus, and I get it, but, San Jose, they've just been so tough to watch, man. Like, if you get Will Smith, you get Macklin Celebrini, you've got a couple older guys in the team. They got rid of Thomas Hurdle. I mean, they are struggling so much right now. I can't remember the last time that San Jose got a first overall pick. I feel like they need it. Anaheim, I mean, look at Anaheim. No matter who they get, they're going to be in the top 5. They're going to be building. I mean, they've done a great job of their prospects so far this year. So either way, it's going to be great. But you're right. Columbus is when they were in the playoffs, their fan base was going crazy. And even before that, they were happy to get Johnny Gaudreau. And super happy to, really, support their team. And so you really just want these superstars going to a market that is going to be able to get behind the player. But at the same time, that's what it's all about, is sending these superstar players to markets like that to hopefully grow the game, right? And to me, not to get too off topic, that's the problem with baseball, right? You're not going to get Shohei Ohtani going to the Oakland Athletics or the Utah Athletics or the Las Vegas Athletics. It's just not going to happen. It's just stupid to even say that. But in the NHL, you'll get the best player in the world or the next generational player going to, a team that's been a bottom feeder for years. And that's why it's a different type of sport. And that's why the rebuild actually works. Carm, before I throw it back to you, I want to throw something to you. We got to get to the other games, but, just to quickly talk about yesterday, how crazy it was. A great tweet I just saw here. I think it's from Megan Chayka. I think that's how you say it. A Flyers playoff chances by date on March 24th, 88%. April 5th, 53%. April 7th, 22%. Today, it is 4%. It's unbelievable how Detroit and Philadelphia have just absolutely plummeted. And then you've got teams like Pittsburgh, New York Islanders, Washington Capitals, and hats off to you, Carm. I tip my cap. I didn't end up going against you officially, and you called it, man, with the Islanders last night playing a great game. Patrick Waugh had that team ready. So it's crazy how, when you're in playoff mode for so long, it's hard to stick with it. You can't, every game is must win for a month. Eventually you're going to go through a small skid, and they did that. And the Washington Capitals yesterday, Carm, I got to start listening to myself, man. I keep saying there's only 3 guys that score for this team, and it's the same guys scoring, but I'm not betting it. Ovechkin and Strome, it's unbelievable. But any quick thoughts on last night and any quick thoughts on that Philadelphia chart? I mean, that's crazy. 88% back on March 24th.
Yeah, a few things, and we're going to get to this the Vegas Edmonton one. We'll have plenty of time. She is from she started Statleets, it's all analytic based stuff. She's out of Hamilton, Ontario, I believe, as well too. Does phenomenal work and puts up charts on individual players as well too, and tweets the stuff out. So good on her. And yeah, that's a crazy number. Guys, yesterday, so before the show with that we had the prez on, I'm going through Starbucks to grab some breakfast, and I'm talking to Andrew, and I said to Andrew, and these didn't end up on my card, but I said to Andrew, how are the Montreal Canadiens an underdog against the Philadelphia Flyers? How can you bet on the Flyers laying $1.40 against Montreal, given the way they're playing right now? I said the Canadians are at least going to compete. We know they're going to come out there and compete. They do it against good teams like they did against the Rangers. I didn't make my card. I had 3 plays. I did go 3-0, but that's besides the fact. And then the Islanders. We talked about the Islanders, and Coach Rich, who commented on our video afterwards, and then some other guys as well too, talked about, come on, man, the Rangers. I think it was I can't remember who it was, and I said, listen, in these rivalry games, they just get up regardless of how the teams are doing. But in a 7-game series, I don't think the Islanders stand a chance against the Rangers. I think it goes no more than 5 games that they were to play. But on any given Sunday, like the Pacino movie, you can win. Now, I want to make a quick note because I read some of the comments yesterday, and some of them were downright rude to me. It's fine. I have thick skin. Here's what you guys don't know. If you're not a regular to Puck Time and you don't watch the show regularly, and I believe that the 2 or 3 people who put those comments in there aren't, Lawrence and I are good friends. We literally live 15 minutes apart. We talk about hockey every single day. We take our wives out to dinner. I'll drop by his house, go for a swim in his pool. And the same way we argue at a dinner table about hockey is what we do on the show. My job as a host on this show, a co-host on this show with Andrew, is to not lob softballs to the guests. You can't let anybody off easy, and I expect Andrew to do the exact same thing to me when we're talking about games, and he does. You guys don't want 3 guys on a show patting each other in the back and agreeing on something. If the show does anything, it is to make you guys learn what thought process we go in coming up with a game. No one is telling you you have to run to the site and buy plays. No one is telling you you have to follow us, but maybe just the thought process we put in to our games and how we come up with plays. If that helps even one person on this show that is watching now or later on, then we've done our job. That is what the show is about, is making novice bettors to hockey learn what we're thinking about when we're putting plays together, whether it's analytics, whether it's the eye test, whether it's rhythm that Perez talked about. That is what it's all about, guys. So anyways, with that said, I called Perez this morning to wish him good luck. He's off to Montreal to play in a poker tournament. I told him to break a leg. I don't think you can do that playing poker, Andrew. But speaking of lower body injuries, Connor McDavid, let's go there.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, speaking of lower body injuries, the Vegas Golden Knights. I guess it works for both teams here. Great stuff. We're very well said there, Carm. We've got a great matchup tonight, Vegas and Edmonton. Edmonton here, slight favorites, but with the great segue Carmine mentioned, we got a question mark listed next to Connor McDavid's name. And, we probably should think here, guys. They're going to the playoffs. They want him healthy. They will not put McDavid out there if he is not healthy and not able to play. Clearly, the game of the night here, fellas. We got a minus 115 price next to the Oilers, despite the question mark next to his name. And I will say this. If you want the Oilers, you probably bet it now. If you want the Golden Knights, you wait. You're going to only get a better price. You will not get a worse price. I would argue here, at the same time, this is going to be something where you're going to want to wait to see, because if he is announced out, it's going to be a little bit different, but right now he's questionable. So kind of manage the lines right now. Try and watch what the lines are and see what happens. But over 4 of the last 6 games for the Vegas Golden Knights, under 4 of the last 6 games for the Edmonton Oilers. It's a battle of 2 teams currently playing different hockey, Carm, right now. This Edmonton team seems to be at their best when they are playing in unders, playing defensive hockey. Vegas right now, they're playing in shootouts, and it's very unexpected. It's not what this team is usually known for. So what do you think happens here, Carm? What type of game do you see taking place tonight in Edmonton?
Yeah, the first thing that came to mind, Andrew, like last night, I'm looking at the lines and I see the opener. While I'm watching the games, I saw the opener was Vegas minus 150, and then I see Vegas is minus 125 or minus one, not Vegas, sorry. Edmonton was minus 150, and then I saw that while that was the opener, I saw that our consensus number on the WagerTalk live lines was at Edmonton minus 120. So I'm like, they went from 150 to 120. So I thought maybe the opener was wrong. Because I didn't look into, I'll usually search team news at night when the games are over to see if there's any injuries, if there's any player omissions, if there's something that we're missing that we need to incorporate into the number. Well, I see that that Connor McDavid has a lower body injury. He wasn't at practice on Tuesday. We'll have to see whether he's at the morning skate, but the coach did say he's going to talk to McDavid today and decide on whether he's going to play or not. That is why the number went from 150 to 120. So it makes it a little clearer in that sense. The total sits here at 6. I'm going a different route here, Andrew. It's just because you look at this one. I don't think Vegas can catch the Oilers. They're 7 points back for the number 2 seed right now. Vegas, Edmonton's still trying to catch Vancouver and have a slim chance of catching them, but they could with the 2 games in hand, win them both, which tonight is one of them, and it puts you a point back of Vancouver with those other couple remaining games. I don't like the fact that McDavid could be out, so it's tough for me to come up with a side because if McDavid's in, I want the Oilers. If McDavid's out, I want I want Vegas. It's one player can make you flip on a game in that sense. Total sits here at 6. I don't even like the total, so I'm going to go with something a little different for you guys. And this is one of my client plays. I gave you guys Jack Eichel before. I'm going to give you Jack Eichel again. He went over his shot prop last time when I gave it out as a free play. I think it was on Monday. He's gone over his number 16 of 21 games. Still a big game for Vegas because a win tonight, or if they pick up a point, they clinch home ice. But they're still positioning on whether they get that seventh seed or the 8th seed. Right now, they get the 8th seed. They end up in that wild card spot. They're playing the Dallas Stars in the first round. That's not a good series for them. If they finish 7th, they're likely going to get the Vancouver Canucks. That is a better series for the Vegas Golden Knights. So this game has importance for Vegas in that sense. And when games are big, your guns come out to play. And Jack Eichel is one of the guns. So I'm going to take over 3.5 shots on goal for Jack Eichel. You're going to have to lay some vig on this one. We got low vig last time. This one's 145.
Carm, that's what I want to hear. If it's not broken, why change it? Why try and find a new player? Why switch it up? That guy is shooting the puck right now. He cashed last time. He'll most likely cash again and again and again, and we'll look to bet on him as well in the postseason. Speaking of prop bets, I've got one as well here, Carmen. This one, again, has a lot to do with whether or not we will see Connor McDavid in the lineup tonight. If we do not see McDavid in the lineup tonight, we will see Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, and Zach Hyman as the top line, Kane, Henrique, and Fogle on the second line. So websites are already showing us what the potential lineups are here for the Edmonton Oilers. And who doesn't love a shot prop at plus money? Well, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, top line player, if McDavid is not good to go, over 2.5 at plus 105. That's currently a price at DraftKings. Love that number here, Carm. I mean, a lot of times in the NBA, NFL, and the NHL as well, you can find guys that will be the next man up in the depth chart, the next man to replace all those shots from somebody else. If Ryan Nugent-Hopkins takes the spot of Connor McDavid, he's not going to be able to be Connor McDavid. Draisaitl might make more plays. We might see Zach Hyman doing more, but you're going to give me a 2.5 number, whereas his line mates, Draisaitl and Hyman, are both at 3.5 minus. We're going to get 2.5 plus 105 on Nugent-Hopkins. I really like that one. But overall, Carm, my sense here was actually the under in this game. And a lot of that was to do with the fact that Vegas, their last game, they open it up 2-0. I mean, they start things off on a strong note. And what did they give up? 4 unanswered? I think that's what it was. Or did it finish 4-3? Either way, they blew their lead. They did not play Vegas Golden Knights hockey. And despite adding Thomas Hertl and some of these guys at the deadline, their true identity is being a defensive team. So we've seen Edmonton win 5 straight games against Pacific Division opponents, and a lot of that has been because of their defensive game. So I think if I was asked to bet a side or total here, I would go with the under. But one of my favorite plays in this game is Nugent Hopkins player props. I might look at him power play point. I might look at him shots on goal, assists, because this is a guy I think that will be taking McDavid's spot on the top line, Carm. It's kind of like that next man up mentality. When you have a wide receiver one get injured, you want to look towards that depth chart and find that next guy that's going to get those catches, get those targets. That's how I feel about Nugent Hopkins tonight.
And Andrew, why did you have to mention wide receiver one? You know what I mean? Because I'm still hurting about Stephon Diggs being being sent, and you're talking about WR ones. I don't even know who I'm going to take in my fantasy football league anymore. The way this is going, man. Maybe I sign for the Buffalo Bills. You could just hear the announcers. Look at that fat Italian try and catch up to that ball from Josh Allen. But it is. I listen. I get it. I was looking at these props late last night and early this morning, trying to find, if the fact that McDavid, if he sits out, is there any value in grabbing any of these lines early? And they're already juiced. It's Leon Draisaitl, who doesn't. You look at some of his stats over the last 10 or 15 games, and he doesn't go over his number very often. He gets a couple shots on goal type of thing, but he's juiced to like $1.66 on over 2.5. I can't take that. I saw a couple other ones that were like 3.5, and again, they're also juiced. They they've already baked in the McDavid out of the lineup juice into some of these numbers. So it was a complete pass from from the Edmonton side on these player props. So I went back to the tried, tested, and true. Let's see if Jack Eichel can do it for me. If not, I've got a Buffalo Sabres Jack Eichel jersey in the closet that Tuesday's garbage day. They could get caught. It could get tossed. It's the Sabres one. It's not the Vegas Golden Knights jersey.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he ends up playing for Buffalo again, Carm. So you're safe in that department. That's for sure. I think he's sticking with Vegas. Guys, great show so far. Live chat is bumping right now. Only a few games, and I know yesterday there were so many games, but when it's only a few games, I love when you guys comment after the show here on YouTube or the YouTube Shorts, Instagram, Facebook. Let us know who you are betting on tonight. Give us a player prop. Give us a guy to score a goal. Let us know what you think about Wednesday night's card in the NHL. And maybe you can give us your pick on who will squeak in that final playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. But if you're with us here now, please, guys, in the live chat, hit the like button. Show some love to us here on Puck Time. We really, really do appreciate it. All right, let's jump into Arizona and Vancouver. All right, Carm, this Arizona team let me down last night, man. I'll be honest. I took a flyer on Arizona. This was a team that I thought's been playing some pretty good hockey. They were scoring goals on a pretty consistent basis. And all of a sudden, the Kraken decided to play some defense and play like a real team. If only the Kraken played like that over the past few months, they might have a hope of actually being in the postseason possibilities and conversations. But nonetheless, the Coyotes get a chance the second night here of a back-to-back to kind of get back on track, to bounce back after an abysmal effort. And the Vancouver Canucks should be feeling pretty good based on their last outing. But at the same time here, every game matters. We're talking about home ice. We're talking about where you finish in the standings. And you've been doing a great job, Carmen, of keeping us all updated on all of that stuff and what games matter for what teams and how they can improve themselves. So even though this Coyotes team is a bottom feeder and the Canucks might look at it on the schedule and say, okay, this game is a layup, every win matters, not just for the bottom feeders, not just for them to move on for next season. Vancouver still wants these points here, Carm.
Yeah, absolutely. They want them. I think a couple more wins, and they can pretty much lock up the number 2 seed overall, but the number 1 seed in the Pacific. And coming into the season, nobody would have thought that was even a chance of happening. Andrew, I tried to find the best numbers on these games, and it's tough because originally I was looking at Arizona tend to play one of those boring type of games at times, and even this late in the season, you fall into to ones where they're 2-1 or 3-1 score lines, and the number dropped from 6.5 to 6. And I'm almost tempted at that point to go over, just because I think Vancouver is going to provide a lot of scoring tonight. I think it's a game of importance to the Canucks. You got Arizona on the second of a back-to-back. And I believe, if I just bring this up real quickly, I believe Arizona, not bad on back-to-backs this season. 8-4 on back-to-backs. Exactly 2.75 goals scored per game. 2.75 goals scored per game against. So 5.5 goal average there. But it's Vancouver more than anything else. I think moving forward, Vancouver has a schedule that, if you look at it, and I'm going to get to the goalies in a second. They play Arizona tonight, then in a couple days of rest, and then they will play the Edmonton Oilers in Edmonton, and then they're home to the Calgary Flames, and then Winnipeg. So they're basically staying in Canada for their last 4 games and just going. These aren't big travel trips for them in that sense, but. Uh, their team totals at 3.5 minus 145. I can see them getting to 4 in this game. One of those 5-1, 5-2 score lines. It's highly likely the Canucks can score back to back for Arizona this late in the season. I tend to think that their season is done. It comes back again to those. On the second of a back-to-back with travel, do you really want to be stepping in front of a puck that's coming at you at 80 miles an hour, trying to block a shot in a season that is over? No, you're not doing that. I would probably lean to the over now at this point because it's at 6, but I'm going to take the team total because I always need to feel both teams can score in order to play the over. I felt that way against with the Columbus Tampa Bay game yesterday. We got there. I feel as that the Canucks are going to score here, so I'm going to take the team total over 3.5 minus 145, and that's going to probably be a small client play as well too.
I love those team totals, Carm. I really do. Cash one last night with Colorado. McKinnon nearly got that himself for me there with the hat trick. And this Arizona team, like you said, is pretty checked out. But one thing I always say is when you get a chance to bounce back the next night, sometimes it's almost better than having 2 days off, right? You have that nasty taste in your mouth. You want to get some revenge. You want to prove to yourself, prove to your teammates, prove to your coaching staff that you're better than the performance you just put out last night. And for most teams, I would say they try to bounce back defensively after being embarrassed like that. But the Coyotes, they're not going to bounce back defensively. The only thing that'll be better for the Coyotes tonight will be their offense. If that, they lose 5-0 to the Kraken. That game probably should have gone over. But as Carmine mentioned, sometimes you have to go towards some of these games and you have to look towards team totals, because if one team is carrying the total and carrying the over, you want to just isolate them. But I take a look at this Vancouver team. They have given up some goals, and when they do play some weaker teams, they have allowed some goals as well. So that will carry me into my best bet because I am on the over 6 in this game. I like the fact that it's a second half of back-to-back. I like the fact that we should have an angry Coyotes team motivated offensively to get back on track after being shut out last night, giving up 5 goals against Seattle, but 5 of their last 7 games have gone over the total. And remind folks at home, they scored 7 goals against the Vegas Golden Knights. And right now, this Vancouver team with Garland, with Pettersson, their top players are playing extremely well. This game should be an absolute shootout. I expect a high pace in this one. Shop around, get that 6, avoid the 6.5, and let's get some goals in this one. Guys, I have 1 play going NHL tonight, 2 plays, including a best bet in the Major League Baseball world. And we also have a live stream today, myself and Adam Trigger, middle of the afternoon, live stream in the MLB, sweating out some wagers, trying to track down some in-game spots, and just chatting baseball on the midday grind on my McGinnis Picks YouTube channel. Carm, that's my best bet, so I decided to just dive right into it. Not trying to rush things here, but I was like, you know what? Why should I repeat myself? I'll just get right into it and say that's my best bet. So back over to you.
That's fine. we'll send producer Dan to grab himself an espresso, kind of like you did yesterday when Prez and I were going at it, because we had just one or two more small things to discuss. In the chat, some people were asking about, Vancouver, who's going to be Vancouver's number one goalie. Thatcher Demko's had a great season. He's coming back. He was at practice on Tuesday. He didn't play the full practice, but they've been ramping him up. He's going to get some playing time. They want to get him ready before he plays a full game. For me, I think the full game is likely going to happen when they play the Calgary Flames, because you look at him. I don't think you want to put him in the lineup against the Edmonton Oilers, where he faces a lot of pucks, and maybe you start him against the Winnipeg Jets on the final game of the NHL season, in a game where it could very well be a meaningless game for both teams, and not really a physical one or a high scoring one, whatever you want to call it. He's going to be there. He's going to get some time in. Elias Lindholm, also back, was at practice yesterday. Very well could be in the lineup for the Vancouver Canucks tonight. That would be good to see him, especially if I'm taking the team total in that one. Andrew, one other thing before I get to my show best bet and what I have up at WagerTalk. We're talking about the draft lottery. I know there's really no, you could talk about who the best GM in the NHL is. I'm going a different route with the best GM. You know who I would say is the best GM this season, Andrew? I'm going to throw a loop at you right now. You're never going to get this one. Mike Greer. Why do I say Mike Greer of the San Jose Sharks? Because literally he got rid of all of those contracts and all that money, and they accumulated some picks that this team is starting from the bottom up. He got rid of all that. They have cap space. He got rid of all that stuff. Whether they got to keep Greer around. He did all the dirty work for him. Got rid of everything, and sure, yeah, the team stunk. They could end up with the first pick in the draft. We will see. But sometimes it's what a GM does to better the team that is going to finish dead last anyways that counts. Any thoughts on that real quickly?
Well, I see you promoting tanking pretty much. I mean, it's good because you know what? You're right. Because one thing I'll say is that people give all the credit. Again, it's the same. It's a full circle moment here, Carm, because I was saying at the start of the show that goaltenders on bad teams don't get credit, right? How about GMs of bad teams? Those guys don't get any credit either, right? Until they start improving and playing well. So you're right. You could be a GM on a team that's not playing very well necessarily, and still, like, here's a good example. I think Kyle Dubas is an absolutely horrible general manager. If the Penguins make the playoffs, it has nothing to do with that guy. That's for sure. Nothing to do with him. But people will say, wow, he was able to trade away Jake Gensel and they still made the playoffs. I think it's a good call by you. It's good to mention some of these GMs that, we can clearly say his team is not a top tier team. That's for sure.
Yeah. He's not winning it. My favorite GM is still Andrews, is going to be, because I talked about it at the beginning of the season when I said Nashville would make the playoffs, is Barry Trotz. He took over for the long-term GM there. I think was it Pole, who was there for like 20 plus years or whatever with this franchise. And I said, if these guys are in a position to make the playoffs, he would probably make some moves to get them in. Trotz is a good GM, and Nashville's playing well. So we'll see what they do as far as the playoffs go. But with that said, you don't win a trophy for tanking, or not tanking your team, but getting rid of all your good players. A few things are going to have to happen. San Jose is going to have to get better soon in order to get seats in the stand. Seats in the stands, God. But get asses in the seats in the stand. They're practically giving tickets away in San Jose for games. And then number two is, Utah. They're doing everything to get a team. Let's just move somebody to Utah. Arizona fans, I'm sorry, but you guys have 5,000 seat stadium. Something's coming up where you guys are going to there's going to be a vote or whatever on whether to build a stadium or move the team or what have you. But somebody's got to move. Full stadiums, full arenas in the NHL is what it's all about. The whiteouts, we absolutely love them. Now, Andrew, I'm going to go to my best bets on here because you did yours. Two plays up in the NHL right now. Uh, my producer in my ear. Jesus, finally. There must be a lacrosse game somewhere that he's watching. Anyways, two plays up in the NHL tonight. I'm going to add another player prop to it as well too. 3-0 night yesterday in the NHL, 13-2-1 NHL run, and since January 1st, number one at WagerTalk, up 55 units in the NHL. We've turned around the season, but there's still plenty of it left, another 8 or 9 days plus full playoffs. So let's try and keep winning. My show best bet, I'm going to go back to that first game we discussed. Chicago just doesn't seem to be able to win on the road, score on the road. They don't give their goalie any support on the road. I'm going to take the Blues here, and I'm going to take them on the puck line, -1.5, +105, +110. Check the Wager Talk live lines. You can get the best numbers there, and it's absolutely free.
Awesome here, Carmen. Guys, again, that great deal. Rest of the NHL season. Take advantage of it all the way through playoffs. Works for every single NHL handicapper. Love these shows. Love these Wednesday shows. Just a couple games to break down, but we try and find you guys some winners. And again, whether you're watching on YouTube Shorts live, whether you're watching right on YouTube, Twitter, X, TikTok, Facebook Live, please show us some love. Hit the like button and share with your friends. Thanks for being here, guys. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Puck Time.